And we're recording. Okay.
Great. All right. Well, this is this is a meeting to review the InfraDev on-call survey, June 30th. Great. So yeah, we put out a survey a few weeks ago for all of the engineers, all the back-end engineers specifically, to give us their input on the InfraDev on-call process, which has been in place for almost a year, maybe 10 months, and has been working, but we're wondering if we can't iterate on it and maybe make some changes, maybe some improvements. So we put out a survey and we got some responses. We got 33 responses. I guess the first question.
And of the 33, how many back-end engineers do we have roughly? Like what was the response rate approximately?
Yeah, that's a good question. I actually don't
Maybe
know that.
in the order of magnitude, maybe 100 to 150, somewhere in that range, perhaps?
Yeah. I mean, I know, Chun, do you know in our in the spreadsheet, out of the people, I think we have what, 100, 120, 150 maybe?
You mean all the backend engineers? That's in current rotations.
Participate, yeah.
155 at this moment, but I think we're going to get a couple more. But
Okay.
roughly between 150, 160.
Okay, so about 33 responses out of, I'll just call it 155 people. I'm putting notes in the doc as we're talking as well.
Yeah, so what's that? That's about 21%. Is that right?
Yeah. So that leads to my question actually. In this group just people who wanted to participate, or can we extrapolate this data to the bigger group, say like
I think we can.
20% people would?
I think very few of the people that didn't respond to the survey will want to participate. If they wanted to participate in this, they would have it is very likely they would have responded to the survey. So it's probably not that. But how many people said yes, they'd like to do this?
For weekday is 22. 22. For weekend is 10. Among the
my guess is no more than 50% more, maybe even 1/3 more than who responded. Yes. Yeah, so 20 might turn into maybe 25 during the day. Just a guess.
Okay. Yeah, I personally, I'm feeling like this might not, if we redid it and we try to get more, encourage more people to respond, we may get a little bit of fluctuation in the data. But I think we can get some trends, maybe like a general picture from this that I think is pretty telling. At least that's just my gut feeling. I think that we can extrapolate. Sorry, my internet is bad. We can extrapolate some general ideas from this that we could go into. I don't know. Does everyone else agree with that? Or
yeah, so there weren't enough people interested to go forward as is. I think is what you're saying. If we got, I think we said we wanted 50 people willing to do it during their business hours, I think, or something along those lines.
Right. So let's break down the.
Which doesn't mean it was a bad idea. I think it was a great idea to investigate. But where are you landing on this, Nicholas, in terms of what we should do next?
Yeah, no, to me, I think we can definitely take this information and iterate on the current process, because like what I'm seeing is that there's definitely an interest in automating the weekday. Okay. If we split this from weekday and weekend, I think that weekday on call can be 100% automated. That's what I'm reading from this data. That we can create a bot, which James has already proposed and worked on, that could basically handle anything that happens during the weekday, but that weekends, a more limited, like 36 hours over a weekend would be what we would need to self-schedule for those that are qualified. to work on or to do on call on a weekend. That's what I see in this data. That's what it's pointing, which would be an iteration that I think would be beneficial.
Would people who sign up for it on the weekday, would they have to join the Slack group, or would the bot automatically add them during their work hours? If it's automated, I think it would work. If people have to take action to add and remove themselves, I think they're gonna just forget. And I think the process would break down some. So will it be
Right.
automated to add people?
So what I'm imagining is that everyone that's on the current list that's currently participating in the Infra on call would be part of the process, part of the weekday process. So everybody. So, and whenever a new backend engineer joins after 3 months, we can decide how are they added. Because we have that problem right now with the spreadsheet, right? Like their
So
manager
everybody would be
has
in the
to,
Slack channel. Just the bot would choose who's online
yes.
at that time. A random of who's on, a
Yeah.
random person of who's online. Is that how
Mhm.
it's proposed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the easiest thing to do, just to get the people who want to volunteer, or the people we have available to be in this Slack channel, and then the bot will choose from that specific channel. There could be further restrictions, because in that same channel there could be people from infrastructure and so on. So we may have to check the title or something like that, but those are minor details.
Okay. So basically, randomly somebody's in the channel who's likely online at the time, or who is online.
So,
Yeah, I think that would work.
so how difficult it is to implement more rules here, because if you all recall that because of weekend eligibility, so some people should take more weekday shifts. So those rules are in that document, right? So everybody knows there's a separate document shared internally based on their locality. So how difficult it is to implement that rule in the bot so that we don't overload the people who actually are eligible for weekends. And that I think if we use the bot for the weekdays, we probably need that logic.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, we could even, as an MVC, maybe we can just exclude them in the beginning altogether. Like, don't get those people, or we can just have some sort of flag, and we can iterate anyway. We can just do the easiest thing to do right now would be just to exclude those based on some sort of flag, or maybe in a list or something that the bot can check. And then we can iterate and say, well, let's give them some sort of weights and try to find someone who's not on the weekend first, or I don't know. It's definitely a possibility.
So, yeah, it sounds like we've got a good plan. I think the next is to get more feedback. I was going to say buy-in, but we'll do it more iteratively than that. More feedback across everybody who's on call and all the people leaders involved. So Chun and I are two of those, but there's also all the engineering managers who'd want to have a say in this, and also Chun and my peers as well, just to make sure they're good with it. And I think everybody will, just they'll want to have some opportunity to give feedback. And I'm thinking maybe what is everything is we put together a couple slides on what we're planning to do, and then do a put them out there, let everybody know about them, and then do a session where we invite everybody who's on call or in that list to come and ask questions based on the slides, and we'll record it and publish it and things like that, and then maybe implement with a target of implementing in August. How does that sound?
Depends on how fast we can get this information converged. So August is probably the best scenario. I would say probably September is more realistic. But I just want to clarify the current plan. I mean, is we use the bot to randomly pick someone in the weekdays, but weekend we still do the scheduling. And then when some incident happens over the weekend, the SRE should still check that spreadsheet for who is available. I mean, who is on duty during that hour. Is that right? So they cannot use the bot for weekend. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think that's the idea. Well, it's not entirely random. So what I did with the bot right now is just based on the number of sort of things. So someone who already did it. So someone who had an incident and got pinged by the bot, then it will be at the bottom of the list. So they won't get pinged. And I imagine that this will even work for the weekend as well, even in the beginning. So if someone gets pinged on the weekend,
but I think the problem is weekend. But sorry to interrupt you, but I think the weekend problem is many people expressed the desire of certainty of their schedule. They don't want to. Yeah, they don't want to be randomly called over the weekend.
Yeah,
I think we said we're going to keep the sign-up schedule for the weekend. Weekday, so here's how I understand. So weekday, people who volunteer for this will get.
Well, no, it's not. No, I'm just gonna cut you off there. It's not volunteer during the weekday. Okay. Everyone that's currently in, it's mandatory. That's what. Okay, that's my proposal because that's easier. Yeah.
And I think it's better. I agree. I'm okay. So everyone people back-end engineers who are part of this either sign up for weekday or weekend. If they're weekday, they go in the Slack channel and the bot will randomly choose them when they're online. And if it's weekend, and they do one or the other, and if they're weekend, then they will sign up for a schedule and we'll still manage that by a spreadsheet. And you do one or the other. Everybody needs to do one, everybody needs to do one or the other, and weekend will still be by signed up manual hours.
Yeah, and the thing to think about is that, because we're talking greatly reduced number of hours on the weekend and potentially that it's going to be hopefully less work and potentially easier to find people to fill the slots. I guess that's the only risk is that we don't have enough people to cover the weekend at all. But we have that problem right now, so I can't imagine that it would be any worse. Right?
To be honest, I don't think this will solve any problem for weekend because we have all these limitations now.
Yeah. And
if we continue to do the assignment, these limitations still apply. So this new method is not going to improve the weekend by any ways. But the weekdays, I think is better because we have a bot. So it's easier for SREs to find out who is available or just to ping someone. And also the bot will randomly pick someone based on their availability online. So people won't have to schedule their time.
Right.
But
let's say someone's online, they're on weekday, they're online, and they miss the Zoom message, or they really can't do it for whatever. Let's say they're doing childcare or whatever reason it is. The bot will move on to the next person. Will randomly choose another person. Right? It's not like they have during their work hours, whatever those happen to be. They have to be sitting there and watching and waiting. Right? It's now there's a potential for, I don't want to call it abuse, but kind of not doing many incidents and not being there at the time and moving on. So maybe in the future we enhance the bot to say, first go to the person who least recently got an escalation, perhaps, right? To prefer.
That should be really the case, actually. So let me give you.
Sorry, James, can you say that again?
So
that's something that we already have done, or we can do, or we shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think it's already implemented that way. So if someone,
oh nice,
so if someone, for example, someone gets pinged and after X number of minutes they don't respond, then the bot will ping someone else. But actually, that person, because it's at the top of the list and this person didn't acknowledge the message, it will still be at the top of the list. So for the next incident, this person who didn't respond will still be at the top. Obviously, depending on availability and other things, but it will remain at the top. So if they keep saying no, no, they will still remain at the top, and they will keep pinged more often. Actually,
That's a good. I think that'll work really well. That's great. I'm just taking notes while we're talking here. But yeah, good stuff.
cool. Yeah, the other thing I noticed and I put this down there. I noticed that some of the engineers expressed concern about getting pinged on their sort of focus times. Like they may have, they may be working, they may be online, but there are times where they just want to focus, or like, for instance, some engineers prefer not to do reviews during, say, randomly 4 to 6 p.m. or something like that. I just want to focus on something, and I think I saw 2 or 3 people expressing that in the feedback, and I did put a few things we can do about it. Like, we can, obviously, if the engineer ignores the message, then it's also fine, because it will time out sort of, and it will ping someone else. And we keep doing that as well. But by the way,
Yeah, I guess my I feel like this is so rare. Okay, like the statistical likelihood of them getting pinged, of that person getting pinged, and during their focus time is really low. So I wouldn't, like, an initial iteration, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just, if we're getting a lot of people that they're constantly getting, bothered during their focus time, then we can try to improve this. But I just can't imagine this is likely to happen very often.
that sounds good. Yeah, to be honest, no, we're just gonna say that there are quite a few ways that we can do that, like by a Slack status or something. That we
Yeah, I guess my concern with this is that, is that we're putting a lot of emphasis on the bot. Like the bot is kind of taking over the like all of the scheduling and the alerting and notification. So let's maybe focus on getting the basic functionality of the bot working and testing it, and just start there. And I don't want to create too much work for you, James. And I'm happy to help with the bot as well, or we can, I'm not sure we're writing it in, but we could elicit other contributions as well.
Yeah,
The next
I
question,
think
it makes me think, the next question we're going to is, can we make this part of the GitLab product, right? This actually sounds like a really useful thing that customers might want to use too. So we'll probably get more people who are interested more as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty cool idea that
I think
you guys have.
Yeah, I think it would be interesting. I think right now it's just I just put like a quick and dirty thing, but I did it in Ruby though. So I'm sure that if we actually go forward with the board, engineers will definitely contribute to it as well, because it's just Ruby anyway. So that's a good point. And yeah, making it part of the product might be a bit more tricky because of a few things, but it might be a possibility as well. And obviously, this is one thing we do with the product is, I don't know if we stopped doing it, but I think we still ship it with Mattermost and not with the Slack. But we do have some sort of a Slack integration anyway. But it would be weird to ship this that actually integrates with the Slack and not with Mattermost, for instance. So yeah, there's probably quite a lot of discussions that had to be made about the merging it with the product. But in any case, I don't think this is going to create much work for me, because it was quite easy to do, to be fair. The Slack API is pretty straightforward. And I think what I have for the moment, it probably covers what we want already. So yeah, I'm happy to give like a quick demo if you wish as well. But yeah, it's just,
Awesome.
it's not a lot to do from my side anyway.
So with 4 minutes left, I still have my CEO shadow hat on, of reminding people when meetings are coming to end of scheduled time. I still have that in my brain. So we have 4 minutes left in scheduled time. Of course, we can go over if we need to. We'll actually, if you're okay, is on the next steps. Let's put DRIs on each. So put together slides with a summary of plan and next steps. Who wants to do that?
That's something that I could take on. Obviously, I'd love everyone's feedback on to kind of
Awesome.
shape
And then,
those.
And then do a Zoom session to take questions on them, and do a demo. Is maybe
Why don't we? why don't we all take part in that Zoom session? I think we all have good ideas there.
Who wants to schedule it?
I think we should have a Zoom session inviting all the backend engineers and also the SREs.
Yeah, I said
And
support directors. You should probably
Yeah,
change it to
support
SRE.
folks, the security folks, or representatives from those teams. So the security, SRE, QE, along with the backend engineers should all be here.
Okay.
So
So
who wants to, Chun, you want to schedule that since you probably know who all the people are?
I can schedule that, but depends on when Nicholas finishes the slide deck.
yeah, to me, like, so I've got a few thoughts here, and I know we're running out of time, but like, I would only want to schedule the meeting when we have the bot kind of in a place that we feel confident. So I don't. So maybe we can push out the and also I'm a little worried about the difference in escalation from weekday to weekend. So maybe this is something we can work on async, is how to make that process clear. Or maybe the escalation during the weekend is also triggered by the same. So the SREs only know they have to do one thing. They have to type in /incident, and that will either look at the bot to do the random schedule, or it will look in the spreadsheet.
I like it.
Which I think is more complicated, probably, to go through a spreadsheet and find the line. You know what I mean?
Perhaps August 1st is too not enough time. Maybe we say
let's think of asynchronously in Slack. We can have a channel there. So I think it's better to consolidate it into the bot, but the bot for the weekend is actually picking the people who is assigned to the slot.
That would be cool. Yeah, which you could do with a timestamp or whatever.
Yeah, that should be easy to do. I think the only thing, and I think this was mentioned as well in the document, obviously with the spreadsheet it's a bit more difficult. It's still possible, but if we can translate that into YAML or JSON, that spreadsheet, then that would be much easier. I mean, it's just probably, I don't know, half an hour work.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we should continue, coordinating async, but maybe do another discussion in 2 weeks and see where we're at. Does that seem good?
Yeah, that sounds great. Which channel? Do we need a new channel or use any existing channel?
We could do a feature. Well, I mean, something like this sounds like a feature channel to me.
Yeah,
there is an Oncall support. There is an Oncall support channel. Who 11 people is there. Maybe we can use that.
I created one for testing the bot, which is Oncall test, but I don't know if it would be appropriate. But
why don't we use that?
Yeah, let's use that. Yeah, let's use that. Just add us. Yeah, add all of us in that channel.
So we'll coordinate the on-call test, and I will, as I click past things, I'll schedule the next sync call in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I'll also update the video and update the issue with notes, etc. Sound good?
Perfect.
James, Nicholas, this is awesome. Glad we've been you had the ideas and we've been coordinating on it. I think this is going to be we're going to have to improve it asynchronously, of course. Sorry, iteratively, of course. But I think this is a great improvement over what we have today.
Yeah, I would say the bot. Yeah, the bot will be great. I mean, it's been a wish for a long time.
Yeah, neat. All right, talk to you later.
Thanks, everyone.
Good stuff.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.